9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Monday, happy WrestleMania week. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I am not alone. WWT Live is in effect. The PR princess herself, Miss Courtney Rice, is in the building.
I guess I felt like the last couple days have been a whirlwind, but I'm happy to be here because it's Monday. It's WrestleMania week. Lots to cover.
I was like, is that not your name anymore? I was like, don't call me Courtney. I didn't know where we were going with the I guess, so I was just checking. She's like, yeah. And the Professor Hollywood G herself. Oh, actually, I think she's frozen. That's why. And the Professor Hollywood G, aka Teflon G, aka all the things. The man in charge, the man of the hour, because he's just been so busy that he's decided to grace us with his presence.
Happy Mania week to all who celebrate. It's a very full week for everybody. For some, it's Holy Week. For others, it's Mania week. Actually, the two are coexisting quite well, and I'm pretty excited about that. So happy Mania week. I can't wait to celebrate with everyone this week. And TK, when will I see you?
Man, every day is like I don't know. I get in tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, it really just depends on the big boss. Like, I'm the boss here, but it depends on the big boss. So
okay. Well,
but
sounds
we'll
like
see.
Thursday night at the very least.
Yeah,
right?
Thursday night, where we're gonna see beautiful women. Speaking of seeing beautiful women, he's coming in from the streets from seeing beautiful women. One half of the street tag team WWE champions, Jacob DeLawrence.
What?
In the building.
Oh wow.
You know what? I feel some type of way about that somehow.
Why?
At no point has that been my gimmick. Like, you're just out here handing out new gimmicks and things. Like,
Sed has been in the streets, and I assume because you tag team with him that you are in the streets too.
Just because he run the streets don't mean I run the streets. Somebody got to keep the house in order. Just gonna assume I'm out here running the street like that. Like, I'm a little hurt.
But I mean, then if you're not running the streets, then how come you can't make it?
See, I got other jobs and other things to do. Since you're the woman of 1,001 jobs, I think you could relate to that. But speaking of making things, Professor, you will literally only see her when y'all work together. That's probably gonna be the only time you see her.
I'm sure of that. I'm 100% sure of that. And I may not fully see her then.
I was gonna say, coming in 5 minutes before, and then like as soon as you're done, she gone.
Wow. I wish that were the case, but I will be the one helping to, manage the people setting up the tents. I was gonna say set up the tents, but clearly I'm not gonna do that. But we're gonna be.
We all know better than that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. So I'll be boots on ground.
Tents. This is beneath me.
Well, I mean, that's what you pay people for. Like, what are we doing?
Spoken like big money, right?
Wow.
I didn't order the tents. What is happening is, so for you guys who are in Las Vegas, FSW, they're having like 13 shows at their venue, right?
Yeah.
And ACW sister company FEW is having a late night show Thursday night at 11 o'clock, Sin City Burn. And you have to be 18 and over. I'm not going to go into details why you have to be 18 and over, but it's Vegas, so put it together. So with that being said, we're prepping a lot of different things that I have talked to vendors and stuff like that, putting that to. So I'm the boots on the ground to make sure that happens. Am I going to be the boots on the ground putting stuff together? Absolutely not. I just got my nails done, and that's not my job. With that being said,
wait. Do you ever like hear what you're gonna say before you say it, or you just say it?
Like, I just got my nails done, and that's not my job. What was wrong with that statement?
Okay, the answer is clearly no. Got it.
Better question, Professor. Which one is better? If she hears it first or if she just spits it?
Well, I mean, that's the other thing is if she heard it and she said it anyway, right?
I just got my nails done. Why am I putting up a tent when we pay people to do that? That doesn't make any sense.
The councilman is here. Councilman, how are
big
you,
money.
sir? The
Have no fear.
accountability, you're just at the right time.
Wow.
Just at the right time.
Wow.
The accountability.
Look at the timing.
Did you hear what TK just said?
No, please update me. What is she not taking accountability for?
TK, no. TK, just repeat what you just said so that he can hear it, and maybe he'll think differently. And the PR person's here too, so we'll
the
see
setup is the same. So for FEW, which is the sister company to ACW, they're having a show Thursday night. I on top of doing commentary, I also do a lot of front office stuff, admin stuff. So we had to go and get a tent and all the things. There's a company that comes and puts up the tents. Therefore, I was going to say like, oh, I have to help out with the tent, but that is incorrect. I'm going to watch them, make sure that they put the tent where it needs to be. And why will I help? Because one, that's not my job. And two, I just got my nails done.
That is not what
you're lying.
Thank you.
Wow.
That is not what she said.
Wow.
At all. It is not.
I knew it as she said it. I was like, this is not what she. There's no way Bonner reacted the way he did to what she just said. There's no way.
Her words were, there are people who do that.
Right.
And we pay them to do that.
Correct.
Not there's a company that's coming in to do that. And I just no. I just got my nails done. There are people who do that, and we pay them to do that.
Right.
Wow.
I have a housekeeper who comes to the apartment.
I have a housekeeper that comes to the apartment. That's all we need to know. What's the first story? Amen.
Big money.
Amen.
Not even. All right.
You have a housekeeper that come. We are our own housekeepers. You have a housekeeper that comes to your apartment.
That's what I say. I'm the help here. You hired the help.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it is. I'm here all week, baby. We doing this.
Shout out to Jeffrey, cousin Ron, Fernando, Jasmine Williams. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey to all the people.
Yes, our producer from the future, Dylan's in the building as well. And so shout out to you guys in the show. It's WrestleMania week. I know for sure. I know obviously, Professor, you're going to be down there. And I think Will and Cedric are like a 50-50. And I think we did discuss this on on Friday, as far as the excitement of everything. So we'll start off with Courtney, since clearly you understood what I was saying because you didn't bash me. So we'll start off with you.
She didn't hear what you said.
She wasn't here for it.
She wasn't here. She was having technical difficulties.
Yes.
Wow.
She heard the edited
version. Agree with that, Courtney? She's like, yes, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Less is more. I'm not saying nothing. Less is more. I'm just saying my piece. Just staying in my lane.
Being said, what are you most excited about for WrestleMania week? Is there a particular match? Is there a particular show as far as WWE is concerned? What's the exciting part?
I would probably say starting tonight with Raw and SmackDown, because that's like the final go home show before WrestleMania, and just curious on what they're going to do with some of the buildups leading up to some of the matches. I also am excited to see how some of the ladies matches are going to happen this weekend. Of course, we have Naomi and Jade. We got the triple threat match. Also, Charlotte and Tiffany are going to be there this weekend. Also, I got to show love to my tag teams, of course, the New Day and the War Raiders. I would like to see the New Day win it this weekend, and hopefully it'll put up a little bit of a pulse of Raw's tag team division. So those are a few things that I'm very excited about leading up to WrestleMania week. And
Mr. DeLawrence, I guess you're retired from coming from the streets. You will be watching WrestleMania this weekend. So what are you excited about?
Oh, yeah, I will be. Honestly, I just want to see if Mania makes up for the build that's been hit or miss across the board. Like, can you deliver start to end, front to back, Saturday opening match, Sunday closing with Cena Rhodes? Like, that's what I'm excited about. And also the set reveal on like Thursday at like 2:00 on YouTube when they randomly do it.
And Professor, So much going on. I know you have obviously there's WrestleMania, but what's on your, in addition to what you're excited about for WrestleMania, what are you excited about as far as being boots on the ground for in Vegas?
I'm excited about the two shows I'm a part of course, Ashe Vegas, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later, as well as Sin City Burn with FEW, featuring a lot of the stars from All Caribbean. I'm very excited about that. I'm excited about some of the potential to just meet up and connect with some of our friends who we talked to over the year in this sport. I mean, WrestleMania week really ends up being kind of a giant family reunion / meetup. And that's really a very, very fun part of what we get to do. And then, of course, obviously, WrestleMania itself is going to be fantastic. There's so many things going on, but I have to admit, I am excited about the opportunity to work during Mania week. That is a very it's a huge honor, and I don't know that people understand how significant of an honor it is. Sometimes people just look at, okay, well, are you working Mania the show? And if you aren't, then what in the world? But the fans from all over pro wrestling's universe are showing up, and some of them are going to check out some of these products for the very first time. So it's the opportunity to do what we do in front of a new audience. You'll remember, well, I mean, the connections are crazy, right? Like, you came to your first All Caribbean show last year at Mania week, and it turned into a massive opportunity for you. And there were some very interesting names in the building from all over the wrestling world that day. So just the possibility that anybody can show up to any of these events and it could turn into something significant. So I'm very excited about those things for this week.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and I was actually talking to somebody about that earlier today, because Coachella just happened this past weekend, and I was blessed to go to a couple of different times to Coachella, but I've worked all of them. So it's like this is what this year feels like. Last year, we were lucky, Honey and I were lucky to go and cover it for WWT, and go to like the press and all this stuff for WWE. But this year really feels like it takes me back to like my radio days, where I'm not necessarily, well, as far as I know, it's going to be a toss up as far as what happens, but there's just so much work involved. And it really reminds me of those times where I went up before Coachella and we're doing all the things and we're getting things together and we're putting stuff in play and, all the meetings and stuff like that. So I'm really excited because of the unknown, and I don't really like the unknown. As you guys know, I like to read my books from the back. So, so it's, we'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. With that being said, a really big thing that's happened. 20 years ago, John Cena debuted the WWE Spinner Championship. And we talked about the belt last, I think Friday. I think it was going for $750, and I think Jacob said he was going to get him one. Watching this video where he was debuting it, what are your thoughts on it? And we'll start with Professor, because I know you're going to have some tidbits, some information.
Well, here's one of the things to look. If you look over my shoulder right now, the belt you see behind me is the John Cena Spinner belt. Okay. That should tell you the level of significance that it is. I have 2 championship belts. You see the other belt that's on top of it, or title. But the championship title that I have behind me is the Cena Spinner belt. That belt was so different. It was so unique. It really represented a changing of the guard. And while some felt like it was, just one of those toy kinds of items, it really represented an attempt at a new era for pro wrestling. And it's one of the most distinct championship titles that's out there. So the fact that this was 20 years ago is crazy. I remember when he debuted it. I remember we all went like, wow, what in the world, and to this day, like, my son will come in and just spin it because it's fun to do, so it is really one of those timeless kinds of championships. Now, I know to the purists, they never liked that particular title, but again, it represented something. And it's crazy to think that here we are 20 years later, and John Cena is about to fight for the championship again in the main event of WrestleMania. And some are talking about whether or not he will bring that championship back. I don't know that he needs to. I think he's kind of at this space where he's above it. But it was a very significant time frame for that championship. And 20 years is amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
It's interesting that you say that because, I saw the promo and, I think, John Cena came out with a hip hop album, etc. Do you think culturally that belt or that resonates more with people of the culture or everybody in general? Jacob?
I think it's more of a. Oh, you said Jacob. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Professor. I want to hear this.
No. Go.
It resonates. There's two ways to look at it. You can say, yeah, it resonates with the culture and that it was a cultural thing because Cena, to his credit, always gave Yayo credit for inspiring the "You Can't See Me" because his cousin or brother was like, hey, man, what's your thing? And that's how it became. But he always acknowledged that, hey, we took this from Tony Yayo.
Mm-hmm.
He had Bumpy Knuckles on his album. Jake One produced Cena's theme song. So, like, he's been very of the culture, for the culture. He's never disparaged the culture in that sense. So, yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's also, you can look at it as like WWE's cheap way of like, hey, let's try to get the other side involved here. Because in a sense, that belt almost had a 10-year run. That belt almost lasted as long as the Winged Eagle. And you could be like, well, because it was a prop belt. It was just for Cena. And they're like, screw it, we'll just keep it. Because it became a toy, as people refer to it as. No, Professor?
No, I'm reading a comment from Cindy. You'll see it. This is all shocking to me.
You missed that last week.
I don't know what to do.
You missed where she admitted that she was half black last week.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, Councilman was like, oh, that's why she could snipe so well in the comments.
That explains it. Okay.
Agreed.
So many additional sentences that I won't say. Continue, Jacob.
Oh, but yeah, it felt genuine with Cena. The fact that it lasted after Cena lost it the first time and almost had a 10-year run, it kind of felt cheapish depending upon who was holding it, because Hunter would take shots at it while he had the belt on his shoulder. And we can't forget when Rocky finally got rid of it, Rock just basically trashed the belt and ripped it to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mark of a time. Like, you see that belt, you automatically go back to the 2000s, spinning rims, all that. It's a cultural thing, and it fit for Cena. It didn't feel fake. It felt genuine.
Professor, you were going to say something?
No, my thought on it is I don't know if the championship was as specific to the culture as it was an attempt at a youth movement by WWE in that space of the ruthless aggression era, trying to figure out the next direction following the Attitude Era. This was kind of that, again, anti-establishment attempt. It was anti-establishment in the face of the pro wrestling purist who was never a huge fan of John Cena. I'll tell you that of the John Cena championships, that one's not my favorite. My favorite is the Spinner US Championship. That was the one that really had the sauce on it. If you ever had a chance to see it, it really was one that kind of looked like spinner rims, and it hit hard for sure. So that's my thought on it. The thing is, it lasted longer than I think most realized it would. There were different iterations. Edge put his spin on it with the Rated R Championship, and I think the personalization of these championships kind of takes away from what a championship should be. Give me the side plates. I think that's enough for it, but keeping the center is important. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure that WWE has actually found a version of this championship that really kind of makes you go, wow. Like, even the current version is kind of, it's okay. But it's not like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's branding at its finest, but it's not the championship that you sit back and go, that right there is something beautiful to look at.
So, two questions. One, you mentioned that it's like a youth movement. would you not argue that in 2005, our culture was the youth? Like
Oh,
it was very
it
close
is
to being
now. It's very
right.
much now. Yeah, for
So
sure.
you could
But
say it was the youth, but like we dictated the culture at that point. Is how I was looking at it.
yeah. I think, the other part of it, which is a conversation far bigger than this, is, the largest purchasers of hip hop don't look like the creators of hip hop.
Fair.
So that's where in my mind it's just like a youth movement, because they're still not trying to put something specific to the people who created hip hop. So that
Fair
was
point.
my thought behind that.
Courtney, as far as like PR and all that's concerned, do you think the titles kind of what they should bring back the title, considering it may or may not, whether it's for the culture or for the youth or stuff like that. John Cena obviously has had such an impact. It's 20 plus years. He's on his retirement tour. Do you think obviously they're selling it now, but do you think it's a good time to bring it back?
It's hard to believe because I was actually 14 when he debuted that title. And I remember watching on SmackDown when he first debuted, because there was a little bit of a shift. And also he wanted to personalize that title of his own. Now bringing it right back now during his reign, I'd rather keep the title the way it is, because I feel like, and this is from my perspective, that period, I just feel it could have been a one-off when John had it. I just think right now, since we're kind of in a new shift, and also with the belt that Cody has, it does take away a little bit of the history that the WWE title has in previous years, especially going through the many eras that we have. So I think with the spinner belt right now, it should be a one-time thing.
Something that's not going to be one time. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I really liked his promo that he cut with his cat. So he is going to be Hall of Fame. They're going to be honoring him. Him and Bret Hart for the first time in years. They're going to be together for the first time in years, at the WWE Hall of Fame. First off, I want to go with Professor, because I always know Professor can do with these great nuggets. As far as Bret Hart and Steve Austin. As far as this match is concerned, what do you remember of this match, and why do you think this moment is perfect for it to be inducted to the Hall of Fame?
That match itself was significant for a few reasons. Here again is one of the moments where a match that was not the main event of WrestleMania ends up becoming the most memorable or most significant match of that year's WrestleMania. It's interesting because that WrestleMania saw The Undertaker defend, or actually win, the WWE Championship against Psycho Sid. That was the main event. But everybody talked about Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was not for a championship. The stipulation was a submission match where, here it is, Stone Cold Steve Austin passes out. He never taps out. He walks in as the heel. They do a double turn during the match, which in itself is wild. I mean, Bret Hart, beloved Bret Hart, going heel at a WrestleMania unintentionally was crazy. You throw Ken Shamrock in the mix as the referee, and you really do have an iconic moment. It was kind of the moment, people talk about Stone Cold's promo that he did at King of the Ring 96. It was what happened here, though, at WrestleMania 13 and 97 that really cemented Stone Cold Steve Austin as one of our favorites. So I think it's a significant moment, a great first match to put as one of those iconic moments. And if they're going to put matches in the Hall of Fame, specifically from WrestleMania, they can't take too long before they put in the match that really inspired so many to enter the pro wrestling industry. Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3. That again was one of the first that was, I think, the first match on a WrestleMania card that actually upended the main event. And considering that main event was Hogan Andre, that says an awful lot. So I think this is a significant moment for that match. And it's a good testament to all of the matches that weekend or this coming weekend to say, don't spend a lot of time being mad about whether or not you are the recognized main event. Go out, steal the show, and years later, they'll be talking about you.
Courtney, how do you think this is going to play out as far as on stage? Because, you know, you can go, you know, a couple different ways. You know, it's been several years. Obviously, both of them are not wrestling anymore. Or do you think there's going to be more of a showing, if I'm saying more entertainment wise, instead of just, you know, saying a speech? What would you think the best, most memorable way would be if you were advising these two men for WWE?
I think for the both of them is a little bit of the entertainment part, but also remembering the significance and the importance of this match, as Professor mentioned, because this was a really historic match. And also with the fact that to this day, a lot of people are still talking about Brett versus Austin from WrestleMania 13 and also showcasing the importance of it. And also he mentioned it wasn't the main event. So for that match, that had to be memorable and really stick out. And also the buildup leading to that match, like what made it more significant above the rest. So that would be something of the little nuggets that I would think of, is just thinking about the importance of the match, also the legacy it created, and also possibly inspired a lot of wrestlers in this generation that watched that WrestleMania.
And I think we talked about it on Friday, Jacob, where you were kind of going down the top, was it 50 matches or something like that?
Yeah.
Out of those matches that you named on Friday, is there one in addition to, you know, Brett and Stone Cold that you would want to be entered for next year, obviously?
Absolutely, but I know it won't happen because two of the participants work across the street, and I just don't see it happening. But you have to put TLC 1 in there. You have to put Dudley, Hardy's, Edge, and Christian from WrestleMania 17. Or you could go WrestleMania 2000 in the ladder match. But one of those two has to go in there. The problem is Edge and Christian are across the street, and I don't see that happening. But if you want to do something where you can get all the participants involved, I guess you go Brett, Shawn, Iron Man, Taker, Shawn. Pick one, 25 or 26. It's probably going something like that. Kurt and Shawn would be great for Mania 21.
Okay.
But pull something where you can get all the participants, because I personally would love to see Brett and Owen from Mania 10 go in, but Martha's not letting that happen, and understandable how she feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then our Steamboat Savage. Savage is no longer with us, but you can get Savage's brother. I do believe he is still alive, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Lanny passed.
Okay. Well, see, that's the problem that we have here. We have all these great moments, and because the shelf life on certain wrestlers from certain areas is short for one reason or the other, I feel like you got to do more than one quote unquote immortal moment. Like you should probably try to get at least two, or either do, because I don't know if anybody's seen this, they're doing a posthumous induction of 3 people this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
that
legacy
they haven't really,
the legacy.
Yeah, the legacy, which is nice. I don't think they've done it before. I could be wrong.
They have. They've done legacy ones before, but they've not necessarily announced them ahead of time. They just kind of did them. Yeah,
just tuck them in. Yeah,
yeah.
Why not do that?
There
why
won't
not
be any
do that?
speeches.
But why not do that with like a moment where, like, hey, we had this great match. None of them are here for whatever reason, but let's at least acknowledge it.
You said something really interesting. You know, the fact that AEW, you know, is AEW, but there's a lot of great wrestlers who are currently at AEW, but they've had such a legacy at WWE. Do you think there is going to come a time where, you know, after they're retired, WWE will honor them? Or do you think like it's with a lot of individuals, that's just not going to happen?
I think in this era, it's fair game. I think Hunter has shown that he is not Vince. He's not Linda. He's willing to mend fixes and try at least. because allegedly there's been reports that they tried to get Sting to put in Lex and couldn't come to a deal, this, that, and the third. So at least seems that Hunter and Nick and whoever, Rocky, they're at least trying that, like, hey, the sandbox is open to all. Most of you can come play with no major toll. AEW, we got to work something out because we are a competition, but we're at least willing to talk. Because, like, there's no way you don't put Edge, Christian, and Jericho in the Hall of Fame. But because they went across the street, maybe you got to let some time pass, 5 years, 10 years after they hang it up, and just like, hey, let's put you in now. Because you put Sting in. You put Sting in the Hall of Fame, so it's possible.
Professor, seemed like you were going to say something.
I think, again, to that point, anything is possible. Edge is already in the Hall of Fame, so that would be a fairly
as
easy
a tag
moment.
team, ENC.
But as a tag team, though, they definitely belong in there. I think, again, anything is possible. If you watched the WrestleMania 9 doc that was dropped on Peacock on Friday, it was very interesting to see a current Jim Ross have his say on that. So it says to me that there is the possibility that something can be worked out if you're going to have Jim Ross as part of a WWE documentary. It makes sense. So I'm hoping, because the real issue, I don't think, is Triple H. I think the issue is on the other side, allowing them to show up at a space like that. But if they are retired, it's fair game. If they are retired, it's absolutely fair game. And I think that those wrestlers would want to be honored in that way.
Yeah, I wonder too, because we're going to talk about this guy next, because I don't think that AEW, because they've only been around for a short period of time, they don't have like legacy or legends contract. So it's going to be, interesting how it plays out after, wrestlers retire, which leads us to our next story. WWE Hall of Famer Honky Tonk Man signed a multi-year Legends deal with WWE, which is crazy because this is his third time signing it. So it's been doing it for 15 years. I'll tell you what, can you imagine? I mean, let's put it out there in the universe. WWT gets enough money where, you guys are done. You have your children, your grandchildren. You're no longer doing the show anymore, but you get a check from WWT, just for being around. That's crazy. We'll put it in the universe for, some of us, definitely Courtney, definitely Professor Jacob. We'll see.
Can I get body butter instead?
In Professor's face, that's the funniest part. But yeah, the importance of this, and we'll start with Professor, because the reason I go to you, because I know you have so many stories. And fun fact for you guys who don't know, who haven't watched WWT from the very beginning, WWT Live, Professor used to bring these like historical things about the most random things, thus his name Professor. That's how it all kind of came about. So this is reminiscent of the olden days when you first started.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I will start with Professor, if he has any things to say about the Honky Tonk Man.
The interesting thing to me about a Legends deal, when you think about it, initially you tend to think, well, will we see these people on our TV screens every now and again? And that's not necessarily the premise of a Legends deal with WWE. The premise more so is, it allows their likeness to be used by WWE. As a result, they end up getting royalties from that. So that it allows them to be included in video games, action figures, all of those kinds of things. They're still allowed to take independent bookings and things of that nature. And so it's a good thing for them. Plus they get to kind of ride off of the coattail of WWE for that matter. And that's not a bad thing at all. Honky Tonk Man to me is one of the stories where you see someone who is not known for their flashy moves. You probably won't ever talk about the top 5 greatest Honky Tonk Man matches, right? His claim to fame was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history until Gunther stopped that. And that went on for 30 some odd years. which is wild to me, considering that he beat, of all people, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat literally 2 months after his iconic match with Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3. Bonkers, right? I will say that the Honky Tonk Man is probably the epitome of what you would have considered sports entertainment during that era. Definitely somebody whose gimmick got him over more than his wrestling ability. And, you know, you had to really be, I think, a fan of Elvis Presley to get into the gimmick of the Honky Tonk Man. What I think he was effective at the most, besides being Jerry Lawler's cousin, is just somebody who was able to take what he had and make it work for him. Like that to me is the win. He wasn't the guy that was going to be on calendars. He wasn't the guy that women were going to be calling up to see. He wasn't the mesomorph that all the kids wanted to be like. He was the annoying heel that you couldn't figure out how in the world did this man beat the great Ricky Steamboat. How did this man become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion for 30 plus years? What in the world? So for his ability to do all of that and still land Legends deals, man, listen, there's hope for us all.
There's hope for you, Jacob. Courtney, any things you want to add to?
No, I think Professor said it very clearly. But I will say he does have a catchy theme song, if you ever listen to it. I will put my 2 cents on that.
And he had a decent WrestleMania entrance, right? Like he had the pink Cadillac and the people in the, you know.
Yeah. And as for the body butter update, I did ship out a bunch of body butters out yesterday. So, you know, we'll see who gets them.
Which means you're not getting yours, Mr. Welton.
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious.
So Triple H is saying the fans are complaining about fans on the internet and saying it's not real life, which is interesting because I think we've been saying this for a long time. You know, you have fans who are attacking wrestlers, but again, this is their job. You know, you have fans who, I don't know if the right word is, you know, not take it seriously or take it too seriously, but there's a fine balance because obviously you want to be entertained and, you know, it has to be believable.
That's
Actually,
great,
Dylan, I did ask, I think it was you, Sindel, and Bosa, I think at the top or the end of the year to send in your address, and nobody did. So y'all know everybody. Everybody. So yeah, come on now. So with that being said, a statement like this coming from Triple H, Courtney, you know, do you think this is going to, obviously I think this is, you know, what upper management people feel because they have to do the day-to-day. So do you think that this is going to alienate some fans, or, you know, are they going to get it?
I had to read the entire statement because this is not the first time we've heard this conversation. And I think this is one of the first few times Triple H has talked about this since he has taken this position. So for this, I'm not really surprised at all, but it has been a current theme where some fans do take it too seriously. And sometimes you kind of have to really think about the bigger picture a bit because, yes, we do want our excitement. We do want sports entertainment, but also really thinking on the outside looking in. But I'm gonna actually stop right there because there's a lot to talk about, but I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, because I think Nick Khan also talked. Hey, you're not going on the mic. I think Nick Khan actually said that too, like a week or two ago as well. That, you know, they don't do storylines or they don't make judgments based off the fans. Jacob, any additional? Oh my goodness, any additional words?
I mean, he has a point to an extent. Because he's like, oh, everybody's complaining about Cody. Cody's jumped the shark, blah, blah, blah. But I'm in an arena with 15,000 people saying, whoa, at the top of their lungs. And it's like, yes, that is true. Period. Next sentence. However, a lot of these complaints are valid, whether you deem it as a loud minority or something else of like, hey, when's the last time you had a black wrestler, Hunter? Was last time there was a singles match for a black wrestler? Like, there's these things, and it's like, you lumped it all into that of the bitching and moaning and griping, and he's like, it's not real. No, a lot of this is real, and you're discrediting the realness by trying to use something like coding, and like, oh, there's this, there's that, and just lumping it. You're discrediting the valid criticisms of like, hey, dog, you've been here for almost 3 years. You got the ball summer 22. Come on now. Honeymoon phase is over. We're giving you time to work out some kinks. There's some things you got to address. And he kind of was like, no, I'm just going to lump it and use Cody and this and that. And it's like, cool, we get it. But like, no, this is real. These are valid complaints.
Professor, what do you think of that?
I think it's interesting. I think we have to acknowledge that, when you're dealing with these massive companies of any nature, the internet is a portion of the population. It is not the entirety of the population. And if we're completely honest with you, we can look at AEW and look at what happens when you take all of your cues from what your internet audience is saying. You create some really difficult and challenging situations. To Jacob's point, I think, you have to somehow find a way to determine the validity of what's being said on the internet. And the reason why I say that is some of these claims are founded, some of them are not. The thing that we have learned about the internet community, particularly the IWC, is if you put the right graphic out, people won't research where it came from. People won't research the level of news or the news source. They'll just go with it, and they'll just do. Who wants to remember when the rumor went out that Saudi Arabia was buying WWE? Right? Like, people went off. People went crazy. It was unbelievable. And that was from a joking website. How many people got duped 2 weeks ago because it was April Fool's Day and they forgot what day it was? People running around talking about Vince McMahon bought TNA. You don't think TNA would have reported on that? So because fans tend to take whatever they see, as long as you get the information out first, you don't have to be right. You just have to be first. So I understand, you got to find this balance, because the one thing he couldn't argue about was last year when the internet went crazy about The Rock seemingly taking Cody's spot at WrestleMania. Where they ended up having to listen was because it trended for a solid week, but then people were in the arena doing it. And I think they take more cues from people inside the arena on a regular basis than they do on the internet specifically. But I do think the WWE and companies at large have to figure out how much of the internet can we actually believe, right? How many, all of the people who are right now up in arms about black male solo stars. First and foremost, they only got that fact from the internet. Let's start there, because none of them did the research to go, I came up with this on my own. No, they didn't. With that said, I think depending upon the community and the circle and the space you walk in, you have to be able to see the credence of what it is that you're saying. So if we take that particular argument about black male solo stars, I don't think I've had a chance to talk about this on this platform. So I'm going to say this very, very quickly. I think people have to realize that sports have ebbs and flows, right? The reason why certain teams are great at certain times is because they have all the players, but every team goes through a period where they're super hot for a while and then they're not. And that's because their players either get older, get injured, retire, and now they're working on the next crop. And sometimes the next crop doesn't come up as fast as the old crop that's leaving. I think about the New England Patriots. All those years they won championships and everybody talked about them. Now we're not talking about them anymore. Chicago Bulls, the Lakers, pick a team. That's what's happening right now on Raw and SmackDown in WWE. Here's why it's hard for me to make that argument with the rest of the internet wrestling community. Because on WrestleMania Saturday, you're going to celebrate Stand and Deliver with 3 black men in the main event. Where literally NXT, there are so many of us in mainstream spaces on NXT. It's wild. And so in a year or two, there are going to be people talking about, wait a minute, we don't have this because they've now graduated from NXT and we have too many Black stars. And so I want to refute another argument that's out there too, because they're like, well, why can't you just take this one and put them in? And why can't you just take this one? Here's the thing about being a pro wrestler, like with any athlete, not just anybody can jump in there and do it. And when you're looking at the combination of skills to be wildly athletic, wildly charismatic, and to be able to be a great talker and not stumble over your words and get it right in one take all the time, every time, since all of your programming is live, that takes time. And you just can't take a random person, stick them in the spot, and immediate chemistry takes place. That doesn't work like that. Think about how long it took for you, if you're paying attention to commentary voices, how long did it take for you to go, okay, I think I like Joe Tessitore in this role now, right? When you change those kinds of voices, it takes a minute for you to go, all right, do I like it? Do I not like it? That type of thing. It takes just as long for a star to be born. And that one person doesn't have 3 hours on your television. They have 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10 to be able to connect. So all of that to say, the internet wrestling community's opinions have to be vetted in some way so that a company knows which of these concerns we need to listen to and which ones will just, kind of fade off in the sunset.
The more you know from Professor. And with that being said, I'm going to let you all handle it. I have to run to a meeting. It's been a pleasure. I will hopefully see you guys on Wednesday. If not, there are going to be a lot of things happening. Stay tuned to WWT's stories, Instagram, and also ACW's stories, Instagram. Things are going to be popping this week. I'll let y'all take it. Ciao, y'all.
All right. Well, with that said, let's talk about a couple of other things before we get out of here. One of them, which I think is really interesting, is a renewed global partnership between the WWE and Mattel. Mattel, of course, a great company that licenses action figures and the like. It's a multi-year extension. It'll see Mattel continuing to produce a wide range of products for WWE: action figures, accessories, play sets, role play items, vehicles, and vehicle accessories. Let's see, Courtney, we'll start with you. How important is this partnership between Mattel and WWE?
This is actually really important because Mattel is one of the top toy industries. And also, a little fact, my first job was working at Toys R Us. So that was actually an opportunity as well. And also seeing like all the dolls, all the product. Kids will milk off anything with dolls and anything, especially when it's related to WWE. So this is really a credible opportunity. I'm pretty sure they're going to be milking this in, not just on WrestleMania week, but also after WrestleMania, leading up to SummerSlam, and mostly throughout the next couple years. So kudos to Mattel, but I'm very curious on what other products they have, like for the action figures and the accessories, and also what they have in the coming months.
Firstly, Courtney, I thought when you said fun fact, my first job I was expecting Mattel to follow that. So when you said Toys R Us, I was like, oh. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I thought it was going to be Mattel.
No,
Jacob,
I wish.
let me ask you this. Given the importance of this kind of partnership between Mattel and WWE, obviously those products are being marketed to children. Do you think that the current WWE product, as we've seen it gain a bit more of an adult edge, is it still geared enough towards children such that they'd be interested in whatever action figures would be produced?
Yeah, because you can make the argument that the Attitude Era, they were moving toys like hotcakes. Like them and Jack Pacific were just shipping them in, shipping them out, all the different lines. I would know because I was running my dad in Walmart. Every report card, progress report, every positive little thing I could get.
Yeah.
Hey, Pop, let me go and get like 2 of them. They like $10. Come on, let me go and get just two, please. Yeah. Can I get one off clearance too? So yeah, they're going to push no matter what, because people take their kids to shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting the next generation in, you're integrating them early. They make certain toys just specifically for kids. Like I was in Walmart the other day and like out of habit, I just run down the toy aisle in the clearance. I'm like, all right, let me see what they got. Look, you got like 5 different lines of WWE toys from like $9 to like 35, 40 in Walmart. You got the cheap $15 WWE belt. So like, oh, I want the Cody Rhodes belt. Son, I'm not paying $300 for the cheap replica, but I'll give you the $15 foam one for your 4-year-old, and now your kid is happy running around. So they're going to work, and it's perfect because also on the flip side, while I'm buying my son one or my child one, I can easily go buy myself the Ultimate collection for like $40.
Yes. Yes. And so to that point, I think, you know, it is one of those things that isn't just about the current product, but it is about nostalgia as well. The partnership with Mattel has been going on since 2010. And it's interesting because if you go to their website, WWE is listed as one of their top brands. And I don't know that people necessarily think of the full range of products that WWE and Mattel have together. But I mean, it's everything from action figures to wrestling rings, steel cages, ambulances, you know, and then they've got a lot of the legendary figures. There's monster trucks here, and you know, you've got Doink the Clown and Lex Luger and the Bushwhackers, and so I
just got Harlem Heat for like $10 each at Walmart on clearance.
You know, I've got a very good friend of mine who has grown man who has put together his own collection of these WWE action figures from his childhood, and he's going out buying more of them. So it kind of reminds me of, you know, the success we saw with the Super Mario Brothers movie, that the kids during the original run of Super Mario Brothers are now adults working in, you know, corporate offices. They're CEOs, they're business people, and they are the ones who help get to push this as part of nostalgia for them, as well as significant moves for their children as well. So congratulations to WWE and Mattel, a 15-year partnership that is continuing. And so I'm very, very excited about that. All right. So this is going to get into Courtney's wheelhouse, and hopefully some of us will enjoy this as well. We've got the Owen Hart tournament that is going on, and the Owen Hart tournament produced a match that's been a bit of a dream match for many of us that we're finally going to get this Wednesday, and that match is going to be Mercedes Moné versus Athena. It's going to be in the semifinals of the Owen. I'll start with you, Courtney. Is this the right place for this match?
I'm gonna be a little bit honest. I did not think
they
were gonna
Please lie.
I don't want to lie.
You're gonna lie to kick it, Craig.
I feel like I don't, but I'm gonna be honest, because when I watched Collision and when I saw the preview of this match, at first I was kind of scratching my head saying, is this a little early for this match? Because yes, it is the Owen Hart Women's Tournament, but also at the same time, something has to give, because both of them have not had any losses. Since Mercedes has been there, she has not lost. Since Athena has been Ring of Honor Women's Champion, she hasn't lost either. So something does have to give. And of course, this Wednesday, it's in Mercedes' hometown of Boston. So she is going to have the crowd behind her every inch of the way. And I'll be talking more about this match during my watch along on Wednesday, because it is going to be a good match, but something does have to give. I'm not going to pick who's the winner is, but it is going to be a good match. But I would not be shocked if Mercedes was the winner.
Jacob, let me ask you this. There's a couple of questions. I'll start firstly with this. The same question to you. Is this the right place? Is an episode of Dynamite the right place for a battle between the longest reigning TBS champion and the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of any gender of any championship? Is Dynamite the right place for that?
So a random Wednesday in April during Easter, leading into Easter, oh snap, it's also WrestleMania week. No, like this, to your point earlier of listening to the IWC and knowing when to and when not to, this is a moment when you don't listen to us, Tony.
Mhm.
Like, this feels like, oh, okay, they want Mercedes Athena. Cool, we can give you that. And it's like, yeah, I want that with like some build. I want
Mhm.
some significant stakes.
Mhm.
I want some time and investment into this. I want to feel something when this match happens. I
Mhm.
don't want you to try to shove this into a 10 to 15 minute window at the end of Dynamite. And God forbid if it doesn't close the show on Dynamite, because that's a problem in of itself.
Mhm.
So if you put them in that depth spot of like 925, 927, we're really going to be upset. But if you put it at the end and you don't let it cook, why bother? Save this for, I'd rather this, if you're going to put them head to head in the Owen, cool. I'd rather them be on opposite sides of the bracket and you have to clash at Double or Nothing.
Mhm.
You got time to
Mhm.
let it cook. You got time to build a story. You could have
Mhm.
Mercedes knock off Billy Starks. Like, to get there, there's so many other ways we could have gone about this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've seen reports like, oh, this is just one of many. Don't blow your load on a random Wednesday during WrestleMania week. Like, no, save this. If you're going to get to Mercedes Athena, all in, winner takes all, whatever you want to do, why tease me with it? Because you got to have a winner in this match. So somebody's got to lose. And like, for crack, and you don't even get the number one contendership, you just
Right.
advance. Come on, there's better ways to do this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is you know, Double or Nothing, or wait a minute, there's a giant stadium show that you're trying to fill in July
Mhm.
called All In.
Mhm.
Seems to make sense that you'd have your two most tenured, decorated women in the company battle then. That makes too much sense.
First time ever, too, would have been
First time,
just
right? Like, we don't need the third time or the best of 7 to happen there. It has to mean something. And the problem is, it doesn't mean anything if it's the semifinals of a tournament. That's a problem. Now, with that said, maybe the thought process behind this is because it is a historic episode of Dynamite, as this episode of Dynamite will now cause Dynamite to be the longest running primetime weekly wrestling show in TBS and TNT history, which means that it's been running longer than Nitro, longer than Thunder, or any of the other wrestling shows that have been on TBS or TNT on a weekly basis. What are your thoughts on that? Courtney, I'll save you until last. Jacob, what do you think?
one, it really puts in perspective what WCW's run was.
It
Like,
does.
you look at it and you're like, oh, WCW had like this long 20, no, dog, it was like 10 years. And
Not
you had like
even.
5, like 10 of
It was not.
WCW as a like significant whole, and like 5 and 6 of Nitro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that long of a run. And like, I saw that and I stopped and I was like, I knew we were going to get there, but like, we're there already?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, if anything, I figured WCW Saturday Night that used to come on at 6:05 Central on TBS would have been the longest running thing they had.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't know if they're counting the NWA, because NWA used to have a Saturday and then that became WCW Saturday Night. So I guess they're like distinguishing they're not one and the same, even though they
Mhm.
kind of are from a
Mhm.
wrestling standpoint, like history
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah.
NWA, Crockett gave birth to WCW, so on and so forth. But like, yeah, that's wild, because you're like, oh, WCW did a lot in a little. Grand opening, grand closing.
Yes.
But are they? I haven't seen AEW tout this. I've seen other places tout it.
So
I may have
AEW,
missed it.
they mentioned it very briefly on their show last week. But
That's
it
like the
was
worst
just
way to do it.
oh yeah, it was not a big deal. It was not like we're counting down to this epic moment. It was none of that. It was a mere mention as they go into the show in Boston. So
You know what I would have done? We go into Atlanta. I'm going to the biggest arena-ish that I know I can sell out for fact.
Yeah.
And like I am going as close to a C&D as possible. Like I am going to give a nice homage to WCW and Turner as a like, thank you, Turner, for believing in us. Thank you, Warner Brothers Discovery, for believing in us and letting us continue this legacy. Because again, ECW didn't end up on TNT, Turner. TNA, any other random wrestling company that came through never touched Turner. Turner was like, no, we're good. So the fact that AEW got it, you should celebrate this moment. It's a huge accomplishment. Make a big deal out of it, and also pay a little homage and nod as much as you can. Not do a random show in Boston and ruin a match that everybody's been wanting, and like not mention this in like a throwaway way. Like, come on, there's better ways to do some of these things.
Courtney, your thoughts on Dynamite becoming the longest running weekly wrestling show on TBS and TNT?
I'm going to be a little honest. I felt like they did not promote this as much as they did, because they did promote it last week and they kept saying like, oh, we're having this milestone. It's like, wake up, guys. This is a big deal. This is your milestone. You should be celebrating it a bit, and also acknowledging some of the history behind it, and even acknowledging Turner and WCW for that milestone. There are just so many avenues, and this is my own PR brain, my branding brain coming into play, because there are so many things that they could have done. And also, I would hope on Wednesday they at least take a look back at some of the episodes that they had when Dynamite first started up until now, and some of the highlights as well, because this is a big deal. Like, I get it. Like, you're in WrestleMania week, but celebrate it, damn it. Like, this is a huge milestone for you. So I will be talking more on this on Wednesday. And yeah.
So real quick, the show is still on TBS, right? For Wednesday?
Yes. Yes.
I'd have done whatever I would have had to do to flip hockey. If I could have found a way, if I got to pony up a few extra grand or whatever, if I'm Tony Khan, like, let's make a deal out of this. Let's flip it. Give me TNT for one night only. I understand you have a deal with NHL. Let's flip stations just one night only. If I got to write you a $5 million check, whatever, it's pocket change to him. Like, let's just do this and do it properly. Like, because it already sucks that this falls during Mania week, but we got to do the most we can to make this moment stick, because it's a moment for Turner and it's a moment for us, because nobody thought we would last.
Yeah, I definitely think, but here and again, we've talked before about presentation and placement and timing. And, you know, when you have the opportunity to celebrate, you don't miss those opportunities. You know, something like this is a massive milestone that, again, if you don't treat it as important, we don't treat it as important. And so if you only just flippantly mention it moving into the next thing, then nobody's going to pay attention to it. It doesn't have, they should have been building to this. They should have been showing clips of, you know, the top 5 moments in Dynamite history, you know, most memorable, like all of those kinds of things, but they have not figured that part out. And again, this goes to where the pro wrestling product cannot solely be about what happens in ring. It is about what you do outside of the ring, the entertainment value, the branding, the promotion, all of those things absolutely matter. And if you don't do those right, there won't be many more of those kinds of moments. And I want them for AEW. I want AEW to succeed and do well. So again, that's happening Wednesday night for those who will be interested in watching. With that said, let's get into this week. Of course, tonight is the go home show for Monday Night Raw, right before Mania. We've got a lot that's scheduled to happen tonight. We will have appearances from Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Paul Heyman, all part, of course, of WrestleMania Saturday night, the main event there. We've got a few matches happening, as well as AJ Styles takes on Karrion Kross. Bayley will take on Liv Morgan. And I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this. So let's do this. Bayley versus Liv Morgan, of course, is a preview of the women's tag team championship match that's going to happen this weekend. What are your thoughts on this first-time team of Bayley and Lyra Valkyria getting the tag team title shot, as opposed to other women's teams that are out there? Some of them have actually been together for a while. What do you think, Courtney?
I actually watched SmackDown yesterday, and I'm going to be very honest. As much as I love Lyra Valkyria,
Actually, okay, keep going. Sorry, you watched it yesterday. Got it.
Yes, I did. I did watch it yesterday. But
Well,
as much as
kudos
I
to
love
watching SmackDown, because you don't
Yes.
normally watch a WWE product all the way through. So congratulations.
Yes. As much as I love Lyra Valkyria, they should have never won that gauntlet match, because there were so many other teams that could have had that opportunity. I would have loved to see, as much as we joke about the boat, I would have loved to see Natalia or Maxine Dupree or Kaden Chance or God, I forgot the other person's name already.
Katana Chance and Caden Carter.
Yes, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Like, those are some of the teams, or even Michin and BFAB. And I just felt when they won it, it was a little bit random, and it just feels a little bit odd. But I don't know what's going to happen there. But I'm going to be curious on what that's going to lead to, because there is a lot of possibilities, and also it could be a possibility Lyra may turn heel against Bayley. Who knows? That could be a possibility, but I'm still going to watch the match to see what they do on the lead up this weekend. But yeah, I think another team should have won that gauntlet match.
Jacob, do you have in mind perhaps another team that could have stood in that space across from the tag team champions?
Pure Fusion Collective, the returning Party Girls. Like, there's legit other teams, because I feel like this was a star power play. Like, let's put a little more oomph on the card. Bayley gives you that oomph. That's that star power. Lyra's the young buck next in line. Cool. We could do it that way. But, like, you could have brought back Asuka and Kairi if they were both cleared and good to go, because we've been seeing them be really active on socials lately. There's just so many other teams you could have done. And here's my bigger problem with this. Remember back in the day when the tag belts used to be used as a vehicle for like a solo belt? Like, oh, these two are fighting over the world title. Let's tag team them, and somehow they end up with the tag belts and so on and so forth. This feels like the reverse, like Bayley and Lyra beefing over the women's IC title. Let's bring them together. There's always a mutual respect. Let's use them to get to the women's tag belts. And this is just a vehicle for something else to get Liv the IC title at some point or something. And it's also another slap in the face. You have your women's IC champ in the first Mania where these women's mid-card titles exist, and she's in a tag team match for the tag team title. And it's not like there was a built-in story of like they've been going back and forth, having these little run-ins, this and that. No, they came together and they won a gauntlet. Like, I understand you can't put everything on WrestleMania, nor should you. But, and I've been saying this, you want to make these women's mid-card titles matter, right? Like, you don't want them to feel like the women's tag belts have felt at times. So first Mania, at least get one of those women's mid-card titles on there, if not both, but at least one. You can't tell me Chelsea Green doesn't deserve her moment. And you just had a screwy shoot count out finish of like Mrs. Spot, this, that, however you want to look at it. Cool, run it back at Mania. I don't care if it's a 5-minute match, just run it back at Mania. Just show that you at least care enough to put these belts on Mania.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There are a lot of potential thoughts around that. For one, I'm just going to say that of the 6 tag teams in that match, only 2 were actual tag teams. That being Katana Chance and Caden Carter and Pure Fusion Collective. Oh, I'm sorry. And the her service. I'm getting
Secret
that name
Hervis.
wrong. Secret
Yeah.
Hervis. That's a weird
Yes.
name.
Hervis.
But they're
It's
a
so great though.
new, and they're great, but they're a new team, right? So where I think it's a little disheartening is all of the work that's happened in the last year to make the women's tag team division something special. I mean, think about it. For the better part of the year, you've had actual tag teams, Jade and Bianca, or Jade and Naomi. You had the Unholy Union. You know, you had a number of great tag teams who made it fun to watch. And so to me, to see the Meta Girls not involved in this seems wild. So you know, I don't know. I'm nervous about that. To your point about the mid-card championships, here's my thought. At a WrestleMania, I know you don't want to just put matches on there, but champions in championships deserve to be represented at WrestleMania. And now that we have 2 days, there's got to be a way to do that. To have the Raw Tag Team Championships, the World Tag Team titles on WrestleMania and not the WWE Tag Team titles is kind of wild to me. Equally wilder is that the SmackDown Tag Team division has been the hottest tag team division in all of WWE,
Right.
outside of NXT. So
Raw doesn't have a tag division, really.
right. So
Nope.
it's very interesting, that decision, and to somehow not give the Street Profits or Motor City Machine Guns the opportunity to showcase on WrestleMania seems pretty wild. But that's all from SmackDown
And
for
you
sure.
were heading that way.
Yeah, it seemed
Like-
very clear. I thought we were going to get like a 5 teams in a ladder match or something. That just seemed like the perfect move, you know? So it's interesting to see how all of that came about. Let me throw this question out. Will Randy Orton end up with a match at WrestleMania?
Yes, but I'm afraid of who it's going to be against.
Okay. Who are you thinking?
I want it to be Nick Aldis.
I do too, actually. I think that'd be great.
And like I said that to somebody, and somebody's like, Nick Aldis ain't that great. I was like, y'all are tripping.
What?
Nick Aldis.
What?
I was like, Nick Aldis can go.
Former
There's a
NWA World
reason why
Champion.
Nick takes these bumps every now and then. Like the man is still in great ring shape. The man carried NWA. The man can go. The man gave Cody 2 classics.
Yeah.
The man can go. Mr. Mickey James can go. And like the fact that he mentioned Mickey, I was like, okay, this would be great. I would love to see it. I don't care if it's a 5-minute match. Nick Aldis deserves his WrestleMania moment.
Yes.
I will beat that drum till I am blue in the face. The man can go. He's a national treasure, all that. I just have a weird feeling it's going to be Solo because of that interaction. And like, no knock on Solo, but I'm just like, you know, like if this is what we get, because unfortunate things happen, KO had the injury, best wishes and well recoveries to him. Get back whenever you get back. KO, for all intents and purposes, is one of the most genuine, nicest people in the industry. Get back whenever you get back. Go home, be a family man. Period. Next sentence. I don't need Solo Sikoa. You've had a very rough year, Solo. Go ruin Jacob's night. Go ruin Fatu's night. Do whatever you're going to do there with Tama. Like, to go that way. I'd rather Randy just not have a match than him get Solo out of here in like 3 minutes. If it's not going to be Nick Aldis or Jeff Cobb.
Well,
it's a wild shot, but dates line up is all I'm saying.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, Jeff Cobb, who at least was the current holder of the IWGP Tag Team Championships, has basically tendered his resignation to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And so they have announced that those tag titles have been vacated. And the word on the street is he's allegedly free by April 19th.
And they're in Vegas. It's a short flight from Japan. It's not like you're going from Japan to the East Coast. You're going West Coast.
Right.
It's not going to be as rough on you.
No.
There've also been these,
there've been these weird vignettes that have been airing too that we can't quite figure out. And I don't know if it's Jeff Cobb, Aleister Black, who knows. But one thing I can tell you, it wouldn't be a surprise if it was this guy, the mayor. Could the mayor show up at WrestleMania?
Did we just get a geography lesson from Jacob?
We did.
Yes, we did.
That's a low-key geography. I'm sitting there thinking like Japan and Vegas. What?
Yeah.
I don't want to know how the math works. I'll just take your word for it. I don't know what that flight looks like, but I mean,
Why you think New Japan runs California all the time?
It's a quicker flight.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that well traveled. I have no idea. I don't have that type of budget in my life to fly to Japan, so I can't say like how quick it would take me to get there.
That's great. Mayor, let me ask, do you think we're going to see a match for Randy Orton at this year's WrestleMania?
If TK put the money up, I'll do it. That's number one. Put the money up.
Please do it, because I will
spending her money on housekeepers and people who put up tents.
I'll give Randy the best. I'll take the RKO, the best of Randy's career. Give you a viral moment.
I'm gonna give you the praying Simba hands.
You know what? I think Randy does have a match just because there's too much. I mean, we know this is John Cena's last year. We don't know how many more Manias Randy has left. So I look at it from that lens, is that you want to give him a moment on the card because you might only have a handful left. I don't mind the Nick Aldis route just because I think they've been trying to figure out a way to get him back in the ring. And we were doing this brand supremacy tease thing with Adam Pearce. And I think maybe we'll get there later this year. For Randy, I mean, it's unfortunate what happened to Kevin. We wish him a speedy recovery, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise when you think about it, because now you have the opportunity to get so many more guys on the card that aren't on the card. I think you should do a gauntlet match. I think you should have a pissed off Nick Aldis say, hey, you are going to wrestle in a gauntlet match. It's an easy way to get 5 guys on the card. Think about Andrade, Mello, other names, and then maybe Nick Aldis is the 5th man when Randy gets through those guys. Maybe you have a returning Rusev or Aleister Black be one of those names. It's a way to get a big pop in that moment. I think it's a perfect situation. I hope they go that route where they just throw multiple guys at Randy over the course of 20 minutes, and maybe Aldis is the last guy, and he pins Randy. You further that little rift that they're building on SmackDown.
That would be an interesting setup for sure. So, yeah, we've got a big night for Raw happening tonight. Let me ask this because I won't get to ask you guys this for the rest of the week. What do you think is going to be the biggest surprise coming from the weekend in terms of WrestleMania? Courtney, I'll start with you.
Oof. That is a good question. That is a really good question. I think I'm gonna, because I had to really think about this. I'm actually gonna say there is gonna be a return this weekend. I'm actually gonna say it because Honey's been dodging it, but I have a slight feeling Aleister Black may return at WrestleMania this weekend.
Okay. Okay. In any particular capacity, or he's just gonna stand on stage?
No, not on stage, but possibly because Randy Orton needs an opponent. Because I kept thinking in my head, it's a possibility that he could face Randy Orton, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So okay. I think that's a possibility.
All right. Any surprises this weekend, Jacob?
I got 2, and one has some layers to it that I just don't think is going to happen. But the first one is we get Big E, and we get Big E being physical. Like, I just feel like the way New Day's been doing the whole neck thing, like it lines up right where if you're going to do this, let's do it. You also had the out-of-pocket ass comment from whatever his face was last week on Raw during commentary. I'm not going to say whether that was planned or not, this, that, or third, but it lines up in a weird-ass way to make it happen. So there's that. Or there's something in Paul Heyman's orbit that just makes you feel like, okay, this is main eventing. Like, star power-wise, it probably should. However, you have world titles and other things. There's just something with Heyman that just makes you feel like we're getting something at Mania, and it's not going to be what we expect. I will give a 1% chance that the Beast Incarnate shows up.
Wait, hold on. We missed that. Somebody somewhere
Said.
something was loud. I don't know what that was. Ah, it was said, I think. All right.
Was it me?
Run that again, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm saying a 1% chance that the Beast Incarnate shows up, but there's something in Paul Heyman's orbit and world that's going to happen that we're not necessarily going to see coming. Even if we see Seth and Paul joining forces, there's just something about Heyman in spots like this that you're like, oh, the other shoe's going to drop. We just don't know what. And it's usually something big with Heyman because, to his credit, he's a mastermind. He's good at what he does.
I agree. Said, any surprises this weekend?
Well, for me, the biggest surprise will be our fearless leader, TK Trinidad, leaving Vegas with love. Expect for the love of TK.
Sorry.
Friday evening, right outside the Fountain Blue Hotel. You will have 30 seconds to shoot your shot with TK.
Oh my God.
It's completely free and donation based. Pull up to the Fountain Blue Hotel. We'll have TK right there with the ring light, with the stick mic, and you get to shoot your shot with the almighty dollar, TK Trinidad.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
That's going to be my spoiler for the weekend, that TK will leave Sin City with love this weekend.
And a bit of sin.
But on a serious note, my biggest surprise that I will predict, I will say neither world title changes hands. And
now that's a shocker.
I think it's going to make people so mad when Gunther retains and Cody retains. I'll say neither one changes hands.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. All right.
I don't want that to happen, but
Yeah.
I feel like WWE too often they play it safe. And I feel like Cody is so safe that they'll do it. Gunther is so safe that they'll keep things the same just for Gunther for the heat, because everybody's expecting it now that it's co-main event. But for John, I think even the betting favorites is that he wins. But I see them just saying, like, you know what, we like this thing we have going with Cody. Let's keep things status quo for now.
Well, it should all be very, very interesting. A huge WrestleMania weekend, and obviously,
Hold on.
Yeah.
What's yours, Mayor?
You know,
I'm sorry, Professor. What's yours?
Yeah, I've been thinking of what that could be. I definitely think something's going down with Heyman. I absolutely think something's going down with Heyman.
I hope not.
I do. I do think we'll get the possibility of a return or a debut, I should say. Wouldn't surprise me to see Jeff Cobb show up in some way. But I think the one thing that we're going to see, which is going to get interesting, I think Tiffany Stratton beats Charlotte Flair in one of the sloppiest brawls we've ever seen. Like it's you know it was a bad situation when you wouldn't let them on TV this week, and Charlotte just shows up in a fight afterwards and they're talking about potentially replacing her. Like, I can't imagine Charlotte Flair getting replaced for WrestleMania. I can't, but I can imagine them literally at WrestleMania not being able to contain themselves, and it turns into something crazy that Tiffany somehow ends up winning.
Like that Nia Jax match?
Perhaps. There have been too many instances where Charlotte Flair's on the other end of something wild like that happening.
You think Charlotte goes, let's say they say that, I think they wait for decisions like that the morning of to say, hey, this is how we're doing the show. And Charlotte's booked to lose. You think Charlotte goes full Austin Aries?
I think
full Hogan?
She could go rogue. Like it could happen. It could happen. So I think that's going to be the match that we initially anticipated for different reasons. And now it's like, can they actually make it through this match? I am very nervous about this because what we've seen over these last couple of weeks, it takes a different level of professionalism to work with somebody on that grand stage that you really can't stand. Like, you legitimately can't stand. And Tiffany Stratton is not that tenured in the business to be able to go, let me put this to the side. And Charlotte obviously is feeling some kind of way because it's gotten very personal. So I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen. Oh, and my last this might come as a surprise to some, but it's not a surprise to me. Naomi beats Jade at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
She has to beat Jade.
Yeah,
Has
she
to.
beats
Yeah.
Jade.
Like, what are we doing?
Beats Jade.
Has
Yeah.
to be. Has to.
Yeah.
That would be Jade's first pinfall loss, right?
No.
In a non-tag
No.
match.
No.
We had a non-tag match.
No, because
No?
she lost to Liv Morgan
Mm-hmm.
a couple weeks ago on
Oh.
SmackDown.
She did.
Yep.
Liv did get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me that'll be the first clean. Should be the first clean loss.
We'll see how clean it is. We need it to be dirty. It's got to be proceed with caution. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's got to do something
Well
wild and
played.
crazy.
Mhm.
I got one more
Wild
bold
and crazy.
prediction. One more
Let's
bold.
go.
We see the professor pop up on something WWE related this weekend. Something.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, you will for sure. Well, I'll tell you where you can see me in a little bit. Courtney, where can the people find you as we get ready for Monday Night Raw, which I think there's a watch along tonight. Is that right? Yes. All right. So, Courtney, where can the people find you?
Well, the people know I'm always here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I understand it's WrestleMania week, but have no fear. Your timeless elite is here because she will be doing a watch along Wednesday for Dynamite from Boston, Massachusetts. So there will be a watch along this week. Friendly reminder, Collision will be on Thursday, this Thursday on TNT. So just a friendly reminder
live?
there. Yes, they're going to do it live.
Well, that's smart of them not to go one on head to head with WrestleMania. Pretty smart.
Yes, very smart.
Yeah.
But the people can always follow me on social on @CourtneyNJ11 on Twitter and Instagram. As you know, you can always check out my media scrum I did on AEW Dynasty, where I had the chance to ask a question to Tony Storm. I actually had recovering from a few adventures I had, going to Philadelphia to see Max Caster in concert. Also finished commentary for ISPW Wrestling. Very excited on that. I'm just waiting on the full video that they give me, but there is a lot of stuff. I'm going to be working with them in the coming weeks.
All right. Well, congratulations on the commentary spot for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Jacob, how can the people find you?
No, Cindy, I will not do a watch. Well, actually, maybe I should do a watch along.
I
with
like
that one day.
LFG. That's a good show.
It has its moments. It's entertaining.
It's a good show.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter @_JDella. Find my writings and musings over at anscape.com. I do have some wrestling related content coming to the interwebs this week. Might actually do some work for WWT. You hear that, TK? I might actually write something. I'm still waiting on the check. I got a tracking. I'm assuming the check is in the package. I'm assuming. Since we got new hair and new nails for Mania Week, we big money over here. Got the housekeeper. Just saying. If not, Mr. Welton will get Pop the Balloon going for you in Vegas, like he said, and we can make some money off of that. So find me over on Instagram at GetTK and also get TK to show some actual work when she does All Caribbean Wrestling and not just her on the beach. And yeah, I will probably be here for Mania Week because it's Mania Week. It's the biggest week in the industry.
It is. Wow. Seth, how can the people find you? My Lord.
I don't know how to follow that.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter @SaidSays, on the gram @SaysTheAnswer. Also, for the Monday Nightmare watch along in the next half hour. Also, I did some writing for WWT this weekend. I don't know if it's live yet, but you can check out my interviews with Janai Kai, Domi XO of MLW. Did some write-ups on them, and also the Battle Riot 7 that took place a week ago. We're still releasing Queen of the Ring content as we go. There's some articles up there you should check out, as well as interviews on YouTube. There's still more interviews currently being released. What else? I'll be in Vegas. So if you see me, come holler at your boy. I should be out there for Wale Mania Thursday night. I just got my ticket to NXT Stand and Deliver, and we're working on a Mania ticket. So if you see me in the streets, say what's up. I have it on good authority that I do have a tracking number for the butter. We'll see if it arrives before Saturday, and I'll give TK all the praise if I actually get my butter. A little bird did tell me that if you see TK in these streets, she has a black card that she will give you for 1 hour of use at WWE World. So
Oh,
That's your
Whoa.
secret if you're watching this show. Just go up to TK and say like,
Oh.
"Hey, the mayor told me about the black card. I want to go get some merch from WWE World." She'll take care of you. So just pull her to the side. But other than that, there'll be more surprises coming out throughout the week.
Boy, this is going to be special. You guys could find me at Bonafide across all of the social spaces. Again, you can check me this week in Vegas. I'll be working at a couple of spaces Thursday morning, Ashe Vegas, which, guys, it's going to be amazing. I'll be hosting that show. We'll have Kev on stage on guest commentary. We've got, it's going to be wild. We're going to have a world title match, the Pan-African World Championship on the line, Suge D against JTG, among so many other incredible matches that are going to be happening there. Plus a special announcement from Faye Jackson and Hall of Famer Jazz. They will be in the house for a very special announcement for Ashe. That'll be Ashe Vegas at 11 a.m. Then I'll be back 11 p.m. for Sin City Burn. By the way, you can check out the Ashe Vegas show live at AsheWrestling.com, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Then later that night, it'll be Sin City Burn as Fighting Evolution Wrestling will present the stars of All Caribbean Wrestling in a great card that's taking place there. So I'll be doing commentary late that night, which should be wild. I hope to see several of you Friday or maybe even sometime very early Saturday before I get out of there. But what I also can tell you is, if you have not heard, the latest edition of the Nightmare Factory Student Showcase is now available on the Nightmare Factory YouTube page. I am on there and having a great time with that, with the official WWE ID logo behind me, which is all kinds of fun. So go ahead and check that show out. Also, if you did not get a chance to check out Saturday Night Vibe from All Caribbean Wrestling this week, please do so. I have a special sit-down interview with the All Caribbean Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, the Pope. Big announcement there. So it is available right now on Tempo Networks. You can check it out on the All Caribbean Wrestling mobile app as well. There's a lot of things happening, guys. So be on the lookout. And hey, you know what, said? I'd be quite all right with your surprise prediction. You never know what happens in the world of wrestling. And a weekend like Mania weekend, anything is possible. So we'll see.
Even
In the meantime,
finding love, anything's possible.
you know,
Let's
now
not
listen,
push it.
we're going to Vegas, and I guess the bigger question would be, where do you have the better betting odds, on me working Mania or TK finding love? But that's a whole nother story for another day.
24-hour drive through Wedding Chapel.
Oh my god.
You know,
We can come back on Monday. By this time next Monday, we can have a whole story that's just
it could be a completely different world this time next Monday. It totally could. I mean, TK could have a new last name. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. So yeah, all of those kinds of things. Of course, Women's Wrestling Talk you can find here wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Also, check out the website, www talkpod.com. Check out the socials, all kinds of great content. And as you know, as we move into Mania Week, there will be more great content surrounding Mania Week and the aftermath of that as well. Shout out to all of you in the chat who make what we do here so much fun day in and day out. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for your continued support, and make sure you're supporting and following all of the members of the panel and all the members of this team in whatever it is that they are doing on these good streaming services. All right, guys, until next time, we got to get out of here because there's a Raw watch along coming up at the top of the hour. We will see you guys very, very soon. This is WWT Live as part of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkPod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.